Hello and welcome to Truth versus Hype. Now on this show, we've again and again reported on the half-truths and lies that are used to justify attacks by cow vigilantes. But here we are once again compelled to return to the subject because of this, the barbaric beating on a cell phone camera of a group of Muslim men in Rajasthan by a gang of self-appointed Gau Rakshaks. A beating so brutal that one of them, Pehlu Khan, died of his injuries. Now, just the fact that a man was beaten to death for no ostensible reason should be an outrage. But that isn't enough in these times we live in. It's become important to establish whether he was legitimately transporting cattle or not. According to his family, he and the others who were beaten were dairy farmers, and they had receipts to show that they had purchased cattle from Jaipur's cattle market, like dozens of other dairy farmers, and were transporting them back home when they were attacked and one of them killed.
इसने बोला कि तुम चोरी की गाय लाए हो। अब मेरे पास जी पूरा रवन्ना है। जयपुर अठवाड़े से गाय लाया हूँ। हुलिया मेरे पास है, पूरा सबूत है। गाय ताजा भी आई है, सब कुछ मेरे पास पूरा सबूत है जी। उसने हमारे को बेकसूर मारा है।
आपने पर्चे दिखाए ही नहीं जब ये
पर्चे दिखाए थे जी, तो उसने हमारे पर्चे फाड़ के फेंक दिए और उसने बोला जलाने के लिए, वो थोड़ी सी देर भी पुलिस नहीं आया तो हमको जला भी देते।
Now, violence by Gau Rakshaks is not new. But what is new and worrying is that the argument that they use to justify their violence, that the Indian cow is under threat and needs saving, is being actively amplified and given legitimacy by the political establishment, specifically by the BJP wherever it is in power. Just one day before the attack, Gujarat, out of the blue, increased the penalty for cow slaughter, and soon after, the Chief Minister tweeted this. Said protection of cows is the single most important principle towards saving the whole world from both moral and spiritual degradation. Now, on the day of the attack, the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister said he will hang anyone who kills the cow.
आज तक पिछले 15 साल में किसी गौ को मारा है, मारेगा उसको लटका देंगे.
Now, this comes hard on the heels of the Uttar Pradesh government's wide-ranging crackdown on the meat trade, ostensibly again in the name of cow protection. And of course, there have been any number of statements by BJP leaders and ministers, all of whom have kept alive the rhetoric of the cow under threat.
कुछ गौ भक्त भी हैं जिनको जैसी सूचना मिलती है इस कानून के तहत रोकने का प्रयास करते हैं। रोकना तक तो कोई गुनाह नहीं है, लेकिन कानून हाथ में लेना ये अपराध है।
Cow protection was part of our freedom movement. Nothing new. Why are we suddenly so agitated about what is happening in Uttar Pradesh?
जो गौ माता को माता ना मानते हो, उसकी हत्या करते हो, मैंने वादा किया था ऐसे लोगों के हाथ पर तुड़वा दूंगा।
Now, some of you may watch this and say that there's nothing wrong with ministers and MPs speaking up for or passing laws in defense of the Indian cow, even if it is in such strong terms, because after all, there's a great sentiment associated with the cow, a sentiment that must be respected as we do. But instead, that sentiment is being manipulated for purely political motives. There's a great deception at play here to make you, the public, constantly feel that the sacred cow is under threat. Take Gujarat, for instance. Now, Gujarat already has very strong cow protection laws. The maximum sentence was already 7 years for slaughtering cow. The cow population of Gujarat has shown no sign of decrease. The last animal census data shows that the cattle population has actually increased by 25%. Similarly, dairy production, which is another marker of a healthy cattle population, is up almost 20%. So, where is the proof of this large-scale illegal cow slaughter? As the Indian Express reported, scanning data of the past 6 years to find that dozens and dozens of cow slaughter cases have been registered, but there's only been one conviction, an indication that the threat is being greatly exaggerated. Does this have something to do with the fact that Gujarat is going to the polls later this year? I leave it to you, the viewer, to judge. Again, Chhattisgarh and the strong statement by Raman Singh. Again, very strong anti-cow slaughter protection laws with a maximum penalty of 3 years. Again, cattle population up 3.4%, dairy up 10%. As for Uttar Pradesh, as we reported recently, the crackdown on meat was based on entirely questionable premises. The decision flowed from a promise in the BJP manifesto, which said that there was a need to crack down on illegal slaughterhouses and restrict mechanical abattoirs because under SP rule, the population of livestock has come down and so has the dairy output of Uttar Pradesh. The reality are those figures that are up on the screen in front of you. The cattle population is up by 3.5% and dairy production is up 13%, which is why the Uttar Pradesh government's crackdown, far from targeting illegal cow slaughter, is targeting legal units that export buffalo meat. Remember, buffalo is legally allowed for slaughter. Mutton shops have been shut down. Even chicken supplies are down. And at the end of it, what has been found? Nothing, at least nothing to do with the cow. Now remember, if UP and Gujarat and these other states are getting into their cow talk now, the first state that got into the act soon after the BJP's 2014 Lok Sabha win was the Maharashtra government with its so-called ban on beef. But once again, remember, the state already had strong anti-cow slaughter laws. All Maharashtra did was ban the slaughter of bull, the male cow, but made it seem like it was acting at the behest of protecting the Gau Mata. When we asked the BJP at that time, they deflected and said that even bulls need to be protected. Why? Because of the dung of the bull, which they say has great value for fertilizers.
What was happening, everybody knows. Nobody was able to stop it.
You were saying that they were not following those rules of fitness.
And it was straight away, it was taken to the slaughterhouse. Another thing,
without getting the
anything and everything available there.
In fact, if you look at the all India picture, barring 7 states, 19 states already have strong laws against cow slaughter. As for the argument that these laws are on paper, but on the ground there's a large-scale illegal cow slaughter going on, again, the data doesn't bear it out. Nationally, the figures show this, that the cow population is up 6.5% in the last census. Dairy production is again up. India is a major dairy producer, 17% increase of dairy in that same period. So this then is the great deception that we need to understand, especially those who feel very strongly about the sacred cow, that all this scaremongering and alarmism over threat to the Indian cow is exaggerated and is actually counterproductive to the very basis on which it rests, that is to propagate and support the Indian cow. As Harish Damodaran, who reports on rural affairs for the Indian Express, has pointed out in a series of articles, the rate of growth of the cow population is actually falling because of all these strong laws. And in fact, Harish is with us here in the studio. That was an interesting fact that you pointed out, that in states which actually have stronger laws against cow protection, the Indian cow is not doing well compared to states which are more relaxed about it.
Srinivasan, let me put it this way. India is already a structural importer of edible oils and pulses.
Yes.
If this present Gau Rakshak activism,
yes,
both official and unofficial, if it continues, India will become a very large importer of dairy products also. Okay? And if I am Fonterra, if I am Lactalis, if I am Danone,
you're talking about big dairy companies internationally.
Yes, I'll be very happy if this continues. Because the fact is...
Why is that? Why is that going to happen, you think?
Because no farmer will ever rear a cow again. He will never do it. It doesn't make sense. If you want to see cows, you can, if you go to Mathura, Vrindavan, you won't find any cows. It's all only buffaloes.
All right, strong words there. So what these multiple bans and restrictions have done is create a rupture in the rural economy, where for years farmers were able to sell their old, infirm or dry cattle to meat traders, earning him or her some extra cash. All the more important in these times when the rural economy is under severe strain. Just listen to what this farm leader in Maharashtra had told us after that state banned the slaughter of the aging and infirm bull. The cow, remember, was already banned. Now they had banned the bull.
तो ये गाय बैल बेचने के बाद अगर वो जाते हैं स्लॉटर हाउस में तो इससे कारण ही हमें पैसे मिलते हैं। अगर वो स्लॉटर हाउस ही बंद हो जाएंगे तो ये हमारा एक ग्राहक है बहुत बड़ा, ये जो डिस्पोज अप करने का है उसका ये काम है और इसके लिए हमें पैसे मिलते हैं, हमारा काम होता है।
ये जो कहा जा रहा है कि आप उसका काउडंग यूज करिए, उसका यूरिन यूज करिए, इस पे आप क्या कहेंगे?
मेरा उन लोगों से हाथ जोड़ के विनती है कि जो मुझे स्लॉटर हाउस चलाने वाला कसाई जितना पैसा देता है उतने पैसे आप दीजिए और लेके जाइए।
Now, a more dangerous consequence of this entirely baseless scaremongering is something that we flagged at the beginning, that it emboldens these Gau Rakshaks to run amok as they did in Alwar, and in almost every state, in every case it's the same. Rather than crack down on them, the state ends up acting in tandem with the vigilantes. We've seen this in Haryana, which had a particularly violent version of the Gau Raksha Dal, who are happy to put out videos like this of their lawless violence online. They even stopped trucks carrying aging bulls in Delhi, creating a near riot-like situation as the police stood by.
जो हमारी गौ माता को लेके जाएगा और हमारे भावना को ठेस पहुंचाएगा, काटने के लिए लेके जाएगा, तो जो हमारी संस्कृति के लोग हैं, जो हिंदुस्तान के लोग हैं, वो इस चीज को बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे। अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो वो हमारे ऊपर कोई ऐसा वार करता है, हम उसका कत्ल भी कर सकते हैं।
Remember, in almost every case, it's important to note that these vigilantes are not saving cows from illegal slaughter. They are stopping trucks most of the time filled with buffaloes or bulls. In fact, as we found in Maharashtra when we followed and filmed how a truck was carrying buffaloes with all the paperwork, and yet it was stopped by these Gau Rakshaks, taken to the police compound where the police literally seemed to be taking orders from vigilantes.
मेरा मोबाइल लिया सर ये लोग ने। उन्होंने मोबाइल है मेरा।
मोबाइल क्यों लिया? नहीं ये ना हमने मोबाइल लिया क्योंकि तुम दूसरों को फोन करोगे इसलिए। नहीं ये ना इधर पब्लिक बढ़ा सकती है इसलिए मोबाइल ले लिया। मोबाइल अभी ये आपके पास देने वाले हैं। मोबाइल ये सर के पास है।
The leader of the Gau Raksha mob produces a government-issued identity card. ये जो गौ रक्षक हैं, जैसे ट्रक रोक लेते हैं, छीन लेते हैं सारा और उसको सब कब्जे में ले लेते हैं, ये कैसे कर सकते हैं? कानून के बाहर नहीं है ये?
उन्होंने इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया है, तो जो भी आदमी है वो अगर इन्फॉर्मेशन देता है कुछ, हाँ, तो उनको पुलिस स्टेशन वही बताता है कि आप लेके आ जाओ, पुलिस स्टेशन लेके आ जाओ व्हीकल।
बट ये सिर्फ इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं दे रहे हैं, इन्होंने कानून अपने हाथ में लिया, इन्होंने ट्रक को रोका, इन्होंने बाहर उनको लोगों को घसीट के निकाला, उनका फ़ोन छीना, तो इनके खिलाफ भी एक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए क्या?
देखिए वो अभी हमारे पीआई साहब आएंगे, अच्छा उनको बुलाया है, तो हाँ, उनसे बात करेंगे आगे क्या है वैसे।
In fact, it's during this report that we were able to expose something that is widely known but rarely reported, that Gau Rakshaks quite often are acting not on the basis of some higher ideology, but simply extorting cash from cattle traders, even those acting within the law. Listen to this cattle trader who spoke to us in Maharashtra, negotiating rates on the phone with a Shiv Sainik along the Madhya Pradesh-Maharashtra border.
2 गाड़ी है उसकी 12 चक्के, तो कितने लेंगे पैसे? 5,000 रुपये गाड़ी। ठीक है, 10,000 का बोलता फिर।